Hi everybody, this is Tiffany. We are just slightly before our meeting start time, so I'm going to let folks continue to join for a minute or two, and then we will get started.
Nobody talk.
Sorry guys, that was, I had another call coming in that I thought was related to this one. I wanted to make sure they had their sign-in information. Okay, I think we've got, it sounds like the beeps have slowed down, and I think we are probably ready to go. For right now, let's get started by seeing who all is on the call. Up in Region 1, who all's in the call up north in Region 1?
Charlie and Becca Gay with Northwest Medical Transport.
Darren and Lisa Talley, Whitetail.
Debbie King, Whitetail.
Maria Bagley, Prairie Transportation.
Terry Capshaw with Lost River Area Transit and Denawat Area Transit.
Leanne Michael, Denawat Area Transit, Lost River Area Transit.
Anybody else from up north on the call? Okay, how about out east in the Twin Falls and east area, if you would tell us who's on the call.
I'm Jim Rout with Valley Shuttle out of Twin Falls, Idaho. I was also there yesterday after I got the right numbers given to me.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Mike Manning with A to B Services.
Hello everyone, this is Sergey Arutunov with Idaho Transportation Company in Pocatello.
And Slava Arutunov with Idaho Transportation.
Okay.
Elna from Standard Shuttle Service.
Anyone else from the eastern side of the state on the phone?
Corey with CT Transportation. Amy with Foothills Transportation.
This is Ryan with Roland Shuttle Services of Idaho.
This is Jessica with Roadrunner Shuttle. Jana with Tibbetts Transportation.
Okay, last call for anybody, Twin Falls or East? Okay, let's talk the Treasure Valley here. So if you have not already called out your name, if you would let us know that you're on the line, that would be great.
Jeremy, Trinity Transport.
Madonna with Freedom Shuttle.
Sorry, could you say that one again?
Ginger with Joanne Shuttle. Sonia with LNH Transportation out of Mountain Home.
Gary from Special Delivery.
Dan Gray with Smart Transit.
Sarah Wyvie from West River Area Transit.
George with Green Zone Transportation.
Did somebody just join?
Yes, Cleta from KDM Transportation.
Great, thanks, Cleta. Anybody else that hasn't announced that they're on the call yet?
Christina Shahan's here from MTM Quality. And
Thanks.
Heather Carey Zales from Aura Counseling and Wellness.
Okay.
Amy with Victory Medical Trent.
Ron Dunbar and team are also here from MTM.
Thanks, Ron.
Elena Mattia from MTM.
Thanks, Elena. Okay, Matt, did you make it onto the call? Matt did have a conflict this afternoon. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to join us or not. And Representative Wintrow, have you made it onto the call? Okay. Well, I think it's probably time for us to get started. We appreciate everybody coming to this call today. Very much like yesterday's call, this call will be focusing on a single topic. And the topic at hand today is questions about the new liquidated damages schedule and how they will be assessed and what that process is and what happens at MTM before they are assessed. A couple of housekeeping items. If you are not speaking, please mute your phone so that we don't have any background noise. And beyond that, I think I'm going to have, oh yes, the same rules from yesterday. We need to be respectful. This is a call of professionals, and we want to keep it at that level. I am going to turn it over to Ron and let him kind of direct the conversation, and we'll just jump in and out as we need to. Okay?
Thanks, Tiffany. So first and foremost, again, thank you all for joining the call today. I was able to hold with our legal department, and so rather than have that document, series of documents due back to us today by end of business, we were able to extend that out through Monday, July 8th, by close of business, to allow you a little bit more opportunity to review those documents, and also hopefully have any of your questions related to liquidated damages answered on the call. Ms. Christina Shahan to join the call. She is the supervisor of the Quality and Compliance Group that is responsible for reviewing, providing those pre-assessment documents as it relates specifically to liquidated damages. So with that, I'll open the floor to the first question related to the liquidated damages process, and we'll get started from there.
Ron, this is Leanne at Benaware Area Transit. So as the quality and, or the quality group, I just need to verify they are in fact employees of MTM, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
This is Debbie with Whitetail Transportation. So with the sample that you guys sent out to us in May, from everything that I've seen, it appears that you guys are automatically assessing liquidated damages off of the information that we turn in with our billing, correct?
So, Christina, would you like to take the lead on that question?
Sure, not a problem. So for your timeliness LDs that you are looking at that you were sent, that is correct. It is based off of your claim data that you submit into online access. That is correct.
So can I ask why liquidated damages are based off of complaints? We have a lot of situations where, again, the majority of the members are DDA. You guys are aware of that. Jimmy has to stop and look by before he can board the van. Facilities are well aware of that. Jim gets agitated and we have to pull over and calm him down. So well aware of that.
Sorry, Debbie, hold on. Somebody is not muted and they're breathing on the phone, and so we're only getting about every other comment that Debbie makes. So if you could just double check that your phone is muted, that would be helpful. Go ahead, Debbie. Sorry about that.
So there are a lot of circumstances where we may arrive a little bit late, and our facilities are well aware of that, and they don't mind. They don't have a problem with it because they deal with the same issues. You guys aren't getting complaints. You're just automatically assessing damages. Why are you doing it automatically instead of based on complaints?
So I think that, and do you want me to answer this, Ron?
Sure.
Okay. So we do look at compliance across the board. Obviously, we do allow for those special circumstances that do come up. That is why we have that pre-assessment period in place before you are actually assessed. If you have a situation where you were late due to something out of your control, obviously, or those type of things, that is when we allow you to put that into your appeal, and we take a look at that, and we would cancel that before it ever even got taken out of your check. So we do give that kind of 14-day period after you get that pre-assessment email for you to let us know of anything that you don't agree with or you would like us to take a second look at before we actually send that off to accounting to be taken out of your check 2 weeks later.
Okay, but 98% of the people we transport, that's what it's like. We're not just transporting Mary to her doctor's appointment and then picking her up and taking her home. Every morning we fill our vehicles with children in adult bodies. and we take them to facilities. They fight, they argue, they refuse to sit in the back seat. They throw up because they're playing with their phones. We have to stop and clean that. They have to stop and look at the squirrel, the butterfly, the flower. This is daily for us. 98% of the people we transport. So every 2 weeks, we're going to be disputing liquidated damages on what occurs daily for us. Susie's medication didn't kick in time, so the facility or mom is calling us saying, hey, can you pick her up on her second round instead of the first round? We can't do that anymore. We have to have them call MTM and change the time. That's what I'm talking about. This is a daily occurrence for us. It's not rare, it's daily.
Also, this is Cleta. We do several DD centers, and some of them won't let us drop our kids until a certain time. But if you're dropping at a certain time to one center and you have to go to the next, that often will, show up that we arrived at one of the facilities late. And if we're going to get charged in that situation, do we cut back on our clients so that doesn't happen? Because we are like that on a daily too. And also like our counseling centers, sometimes they want us to bring the men's or the women's group in early so that they can go on an outing of some sort. So if I show we drop them off early, are we going to get in trouble for that? We're always there to pick all of them up on time. It's just that arrival time sometimes changes.
This is Elena Messia from MTM at Corporate, and I just want to thank you all for your time for the call. I think the intent is to make sure that people aren't excessively late. The department is very concerned with critical care appointments, dialysis, chemo, radiation. I think what you're talking about are, the heavily grouped trips for intellectually developmentally delayed and children and these types of trips, which we, understand if one person's late, then everybody's late. We really want to just focus on getting people to their appointments on time, and we're not really interested in putting a system in place that penalizes you excessively. So we really want to focus on driving the outcomes that we want. We don't want people excessively late. We want critical care appointments that are dependent on chair times to be picked up, dropped off on time. So I know that this is a change in the program. We're interested in hearing your feedback, and we can take that back and discuss it with the department and come back to you. But I would say, by and large, what you're talking about is not the intent of what we're trying to achieve.
Okay, this is Jeremy.
Hello, everybody.
This is Jeremy with
One second. This is Slava Arutuna with IDHW Transportation. For last 3 meetings, we've been talking about that there was a few mistakes, actually more than a few mistakes, which has been made by either MTM system or the employees who are adding the clients last minute or when providers do not work. So that created lots of problems for us. Do you think that there was a possibility that we could move that liquidated damages, let's say, to October 1st, before to make sure that all those glitches, computer glitches, and also human mistakes would be fixed before those liquidated damages be forced on us? Because it seems like maybe in the next 30 days it's not going to be. There's only it's 80 to 90% that McDonald's was against us. Exactly was not our mistake. So is that possibility also to perhaps move to 60 or 90 days away from today?
We can take that back and consider it. We do have one software development item that is going in place on B-leg trips. So we can look at the timeline for when that development is completed and look at the timing. We're not unopposed to that. I think what we want to make sure that we put in place, though, right away is the critical care transports. We are being LD'd for those, and so we need your help in making sure that we schedule those appropriately. So we want feedback on those critical care appointments. If we've had a scheduling error, we want to know about it. So we want to make sure there's skin in the game for both of us to fix those issues.
This is Jeremy with Trinity Transport. Your intent is to reduce no-shows and provider errors with the critical care. Is that correct?
That's one of the big ones, but we certainly don't want excessively late transports for anybody.
Okay, so the follow-up to that is, are those clients going to be earmarked as these are clients that if they are late, there's liquidated damages, but a DD client, there's latitude there? Or because it's data in, data out, how does MTM distinguish between somebody who's a DD client and it's okay for them to be 10 minutes late and somebody who's a dialysis client?
You know, I think there's some feedback, so just make sure you're muted. You know, I think what we want to make sure is that we're not treating any Medicaid member, you know, by and large differently than another. I think what we can talk about is different levels of LDs for both dialysis and DD. You know, critical care appointments, missing dialysis appointments is not acceptable, and they have, you know, limited number of times to be seen. So that is one thing that we're very aware of, and we want to make sure it's managed properly. We can take back any comment, but again, we don't want members by and large being treated completely differently, but we can look at windows of lateness before LDs are put in place.
Because what that brings to mind is if we wait a week to bill, and there's 2 weeks time before we get the pre-assessment, we're going back to our drivers who take 30 people a day to remember back 3 weeks to a circumstance that's very normal to them, to come up with a reason why it happened when it's been happening to these people in an acceptable manner for the majority of their existence in the Medicaid population.
So tell me what, you said that your clients, the facilities, are okay with them being 10 minutes late, let's say. You know, have we surveyed them what they consider late? And maybe that's something we need to go back and ask them, or do we need to change the arrival time to be, you know, 10 minutes earlier? Or, you know, I just want to make sure we're not forgetting who our clients are and what they want also to be seen as on time.
I would say that from the DD center standpoint, that they give a realm of time. They give, I mean, help me out, guys. They work pretty easily with us because there's so many of them in town that they understand that we drop off one and we go to another, and that we can't be in 4 places at the same time. And so they give us that latitude. And if we earmarked DD clients with this latitude that maybe isn't earmarked for dialysis clients, that would definitely help.
Okay, we can take that back, and I think that's configurable, so let us take that one back.
I would agree with that. This is Debbie with Whitetail. And when we're talking our DD clients, a lot of times we're talking about large facilities. We're talking about TESH. We're talking about, and we can pull up and say, you know, we're 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, and we can look at them and say, sorry, backseat issues. They understand that we have 6 people in the van and not a single one of them wanted to sit in the back seat. So we have to have the 5-year-old mentality with adults conversation. All right, guys, somebody has to sit in the back seat. They understand that takes time. It's going to slow us down. They also had to come through the same construction that we had to go through to get to work in the morning. They understand that, so they're okay with the fact that we're going to pull in sometimes 8, 9 minutes late. they also know that we are bringing some of those clients in from 60 miles away.
All right, I just want to make sure we use this properly. We're already 25 minutes from the call. I definitely hear you all, and Ron and I will take that back to the department and get back to you.
Thank you.
I can just make a comment. This is Elna from Sprinter Shuttle Service. That all dialysis clients get scheduled 20 minutes before they really have to be there and go on. So it's not that if you drop them off a couple minutes late that they are late. They just need to be there. All of the facilities in Idaho schedule them. Their appointment time is 20 minutes before they really should be there. If we drop them off another 10 or another 20 minutes early, then to avoid being late and stuff, it causes the clients to be there for an extremely long time on a day, and then after they are done, because they don't always get done at the same time, they may be picked up a couple minutes late after their appointment. Some of them are so exhausted, it is just not good to get them there too early. So some of them are a couple minutes late on a daytime, and it's not that they cannot be seen. If you call into dialysis, even to the facilities like CPI and Whitco, those big facilities with clients that go there on a daily basis, all they want is a courtesy call that's telling them we are running late, we have a backseat issue, or we have this kind of issue. They are usually okay with that. So
all we need to do is
all clients get seen up to 15 minutes before if they are 15 minutes late, the cut-off time. So can they remove the late issue up to 15 minutes after appointment time?
So we always can make edits day of, we can make changes, we can have goals, and there already is a 15-minute window. So I want to make sure we don't add 15 minutes and then add 15 minutes on top of that. So, I think that while this is new for everybody, there already is wiggle room. We are understanding of traffic issues. We are understanding if the person can still be seen, and everybody's satisfied. We're not out to penalize everybody. We get it that things happen during the day. We understand. We just we don't want excessively late trips, and we didn't have that many. So I don't want people to think there's a ton of LDs coming down your way. We just want to make sure people are watching it and people are managing to it.
I think it's important, this is Kristen, too, to really, like she was saying, that we do have that 15-minute window in place. So we do realize that there are providers that do not, or I'm sorry, when you get to the facilities, they give you that 15-minute window. Also give that 15-minute window, so you are not going to be charged an LD for anything that's within that 15-minute window. It's once you get to that excessive late of being past that 15 minutes that you're going to be talking about a liquidated damage.
Is that for drop-off or pickup?
All of our late timeliness liquidated damages are only based on your A-leg trip. So we are only looking at the timeliness of you getting the member to their appointment on time. You are not charged liquidated damages on your B legs of your trips.
And just to further clarify, it's the drop-off, not the pick. Correct. Okay.
Hi, this is Leanne at Benoit Area Transit. And when you sent my thing out in May, I did get a $10 charge for a late pickup from a doctor's appointment. So it was a B-leg trip. And I did respond back and say, I can't control when they come out of the doctor. So is that an issue with your system?
If that is happening, then we would need to, all you would need to do is appeal that with us. We would look and see if it's a coding error, that maybe when that trip was set up, it was set up incorrectly. And then, of course, we would cancel that on our side for you before it's ever actually charged out of your account. So those are the types of things. And when those things are happening and we catch those things, it's important for you guys to know we also follow up with an education to that correct department to get those things fixed so that they don't continue to happen for you.
Okay, thank you.
This is Ron.
You're
I think
welcome.
it's also important to clarify, if you weren't on the call yesterday, we had mentioned that Mr. Ramirez Emilio had put that out there, that was one of the items that was recognized during that first test report that you had received, and our IT group is working to make that change for that B-rate designation. So that should help take any additional manual work out of that process once that fix has been put into place.
This is Debbie with Whitetail. I had 5 late to appointments that were under minutes on my May that came through.
You broke up on the minutes. Can you tell us the minutes again?
They were under 10 minutes. One of them was 1 minute late.
Okay, we'll follow up with you, Ron. Can you take that as a to-do?
Ron, if you want to
Okay.
send that over to the team, we can look at that.
Okay. Thank
Will
you.
do.
Thank you.
This is Terry with
LNH.
This is Terry with Lost River Area Transit and Benoit Area Transit. I'm a little concerned with the addition of the critical incident trips. How does MTM envision they're going to collect these large sums of liquidated damages? And
So
after...
this is Ron. Oh, go ahead.
And after, I'm a little confused with the first one, $1,000 for each validated occurrence in one contract year up to 3 occurrences. So does that mean 3 occurrences happen and then you're assessed $1,000? Or is it $1,000 for each one up to 3?
That would be your second statement there would be correct. $1,000 for each progressive to the 5,000 and 10,000. And I wanted to help clear up some concern related to critical incidents. Where we have found, and the reason for that particular liquidated damage after review and assessment with MTM and the department, we've had, through the course of our time here, 7 what would be considered critical incidents. All those are related to vulnerable participants, be it a child or a vulnerable adult, being left at a facility that wasn't open or has since closed past the time of pickup that was stated for that member. One as recent as in May, a compromised 12-year-old child was left at a closed facility. With the help of 2 good Samaritans, they were able to contact the police, get in contact with the facility, and we were able to ensure that child made it home safely. Unfortunately, you can understand how much concern that type of situation would have. That was a child who had a designated time for pickup that did not happen. Despite repeated calls, the child wandered away. So the facility thought she was okay. Now, they thought that child had been picked up. So those are the critical incidents that we would require a little bit more review on, a little bit more care and consideration when dealing with those types of situations. We don't want to drop off any member at a closed facility, either to start their appointment, and we definitely don't want to have a compromised child waiting for their ride out front, wander away, and we find that we've never even attempted to send the driver back to pick them up, and that was the case. So again, 7 of those incidents over the course of the last 12 to 14 months would not be one of those items that we would take lightly, and certainly with the number and the amount associated to that particular liquidated damage, we would hope that it never happens going forward. If it does happen, the financial penalty should be enough to initiate changes in the process to prevent it from happening going forward.
This is Dina with A+. And
I don't know, I just kind of think that it's really, really ridiculous charges. We don't even make that much of these companies. And another thing, yesterday, one of my clients did not make a dialysis because MTM didn't put them on a schedule, so are they going to get penalized for that too? Okay.
You were breaking up there as you were speaking. It sounded like someone was talking over the top. Could you repeat that?
Yes, I was saying I just feel that those are very ridiculous charges. We don't even make that much money on these companies. And another thing, yesterday one of my clients did not make it to dialysis because MTM did not put them on a schedule. So will MTM be penalized for that too?
So, yes, we are. That would be part of a liquidated damage that the department would assess for inaccurate or improper scheduling of that trip. Obviously, similar to what happens with a transportation provider, we would do the initial research, documentation, and provide that information over to the department. And should that liquidated damage be assessed, we would be held to that.
See, and then a lot of our people that go on Schedule 2, we show up and they did not even have an appointment. So we have to take the trip out and spend our gas and our time, and they did not even have an appointment. They were scheduled in on our appointment.
So again, all of those particular instances that you have there, we would certainly ask that you submit those over to your respective provider management representative. They are going to advocate on your behalf. In any one of these instances, they'll also provide any additional research or assistance while we determine where the breakdown happened with that particular trip, whether it was an opportunity for the call center representative to do better, dispatch team making any proper corrections, you name it, the team is here to help with those particular instances during that time that is actually happening or during the pre-assessment phase once you receive that document.
Okay, and then one more thing also, a lot of times we do our schedule, and then in the morning we wake up, and then we had extra people on the schedule that were not even on there when we were done because MTM just threw them in after the fact. And so we can't pick them up because we're already scheduled in with a full schedule. So we're going to get penalized for those that we did not get.
Again, that would be another instance that you would bring to your respective provider management representative so that we can assist you with figuring out where the disconnect was there.
But there won't be a penalty on that if they are not picked up because we didn't have them on the schedule. They were put in after the fact.
Sure,
so when it showed up, it showed that we were a no pickup.
As indicated on that Schedule B, you would not be assessed any liquidated damages if the concern or situation was not a direct result of a transportation provider action. Okay. You wouldn't get that assessment.
This is George with Green Zone Transportation. I'd like to know if the software could have instead of giving me up on top where it says the status of when the member called to schedule an appointment, that doesn't help me with anything. It should help you guys, but instead of having that there, can we put when the trip was provided to the provider, when they put it inside my portal? Because for the last 6 months, I keep getting the same thing that A Plus is saying, where trips get dumped in my portal overnight. In the morning, I wake up, I'm getting phone calls about this person needed to be picked up. This person, it's a dialysis patient. They were in your portal. They should have been picked up. And I'd like to know when this trip was put into my portal. I don't need to see up there when the member called MTM to schedule an appointment. I want to see when MTM disposed it into my portal so I can know and I can have something to say, look, it was after hours, it was on the weekends, and we did not put it in the driver's route because it was not in our portal at that time. Yeah. Because I've heard of numbers changing. Different ID numbers, IDH numbers, all sorts of things, but we do not see that part of the script. We just got 3 days to go back. So it's our word against your guys's, or 2 weeks, a week, 3 weeks later. I'm sorry, but this is what the team came up with. Your representative came up with, and you're going to get liquidated damages. But there is no we're in this like blind. We're only in there with one eye. We don't have two eyes open in this website, and you know, there's really nowhere in this system where we can do anything to, you know, argue anything back other than one rep to how many providers, or one rep to as big as how many trips there are every single day. I mean, is there even enough providers for the 6,000 members here in Idaho? Because that's why we keep getting these dumps of trips put in our portal overnight when hours of our operations are not there. And, you know, it's frustrating because I care for these people. I care to get them to their appointments. And it hurts me to call them and tell them, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is not something that I can do to come get you at this hour because I'm closed at this hour, or I have another scheduled appointment at this hour.
I think, Ron, that's one we can take back. I think that's a good, I think that's a good recommendation. You know, we don't want you to have to search through information to appeal if it was on our end. We are making sure that trips aren't auto reshopped and just dumped into your portal. We've heard that complaint, so we're going back and researching the code to see if that happens. We certainly don't want that to be happening because it is setting you up for failure and ultimately setting us up for failure. So we'll take that one back.
Hello, folks. This is Sergey with Idaho Transportation Company. I haven't spoke today, but Tiffany, thank you very much for organizing this meeting. I have a question. Darren from Whitetail, myself, and Ryan. Darren sent a big list to the Department of Health and Welfare, where he actually put item after item what is not correct with the MTM system, and you cannot really assess the liquidated damages at this point before those things are fixed. And I just was wondering, first of all, does anyone even look at that email, what Darren said? There's like at least 12 points. Ryan sent an email to you guys today showing how MTM system is not capturing the credential things and denying close to $10,000 of his transports. I sent the email yesterday pointing out that someone was added last minute without the phone call, being it's a human or a computer error. And then I actually explained the different scenarios that will get applied the LDs. Anyway, and Slava actually said, I know that you already answered that you're going to take it and look at postponing those liquidated damages times. But again, what I need to ask you folks from the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare and top management of MTM to look on those concerns. Darren put a very nice letter. Not only with the numbers, but also with all those concerns, what actually most of the other providers just voiced it, but he already put it down on the email. And I just wondering if anyone is even looking at those emails and go point by point what he actually put down.
So, Sergey, this is Tiffany, and I can guarantee you that we are looking through those emails, and we're going to go through them point by point with MTM, the MTM team. But I did want to make sure that we keep focused on any questions on liquidated damages today, because we will get through those emails as quickly as possible and get those answers to you. But I'm afraid other people have questions about liquidated damages that need to be addressed.
Yeah, and those are about liquidated damages. They're the points that the system is faulty, and then about the MTM is applying those liquidated damages without fixing the problems in the system.
Right, right.
That's
yeah, we understand that, and no, you've definitely made. You've made a good point here, and it does give us some very tangible examples to look through with MTM. But like Elena said, we're going to take all of this and go back to work with MTM and see what can be done. So
So this is Jerry Lynn Smith with Safe Lane Transport. And my question is this. We live over a pass, and we bring clients from Shoshone County to Kootenai County every single day. In the IDHW rules, it states that we have 1 hour from their appointment to pick them up. Some clients are very, very strict about this. The problem with this is it takes an hour to get them to their appointment. If we have other clients to pick up on top of that one person, we're not going to be able to get here within an hour. But I've been told by Crystal with the MTM that is the IDHW rule, that it's 1 hour from their appointment that they can choose to be picked up. So if there's a liquidated damage and we can't get here within an hour because that's the time I'm allowed to pick them up, is that still going to be, is that something we can bicker about as far as getting it fixed?
Crystal, I don't know if you want, go ahead, Ron.
Sorry, Tiffany, this is Emilio. Jerry Lynn, essentially what we're looking at is the appointment time. That's really the key component to that specific liquidated damage. As far as when you pick them up, if you make arrangements with them to pick them up at a certain time, that's fine. The general rule of thumb is that hour. You can pick them up to an hour prior to their appointment time. If you know that it's going to take you longer because you know your specific area and you're up north and it's going to take you longer to get places, especially during the winter, then that's up to you. What we're looking at when we're speaking about liquidated damages is the appointment time and the time that you actually get them to their appointment.
Okay. And then I would have a 15-minute leeway.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And also, Ron, I don't know, I wasn't on the beginning of the call. I'm actually at the hospital. But I just wanted to put this out here as well, if that's okay. I forgot.
Well, if you remember, you can certainly shoot that over. You can shoot that over to Crystal and myself, and we'll be happy to help you, or you can give us a call.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
This is Elna from Sprinter Shuttle Service. I would like to ask Ron, you talked about the $1,000, the critical incidents that happened. You said there were 7 incidents. Could you please let us know how many providers were involved in the 7 incidents? And if it was repeat offenders or was it new companies? How long have they been in business here in Idaho?
Sure, Elna. All of those they happened, unfortunately, by 7 separate companies. So there was not a repeat offender. And unfortunately, not all of these companies were brand new to the system. So we've had transportation providers who've been here dating back to previous brokerages who unfortunately had these types of instances occur.
Okay, so we are in Idaho a do not touch state, and we are also a door-to-door service. So when clients get dropped off, our company actually see that the kids go into the house and be received by somebody. We're not allowed to drop them off at the facility. Sometimes the facilities does not open up on time. So when you ask us to start waiting with kids because the facility is not open or because it's not their appointment time, which happens because some of these facilities don't have receptionists, they refuse for you to drop off the kids before the time, but we cannot sit there with them. We are not caregivers. We are not moms and dads, even though we care for these people. What are you going to do about that situation, about now turning us into caregivers for kids that cannot be there? I understand you cannot drop them off in front of the closed, locked door. You're supposed to go up to the door and see that they go in. But what are you going to do about this situation?
So, Elna, if your company comes across that situation, as indicated previously, let us know of that particular example. We'll be in touch with the department and whichever facility or caregiver that we need to to ensure that it doesn't become a recurring problem for you or any other transportation company that may be going through that situation.
Just want to remind everybody to put yourself on mute. We've got heavy breathing again, and I want to just reemphasize what Ron said. We know that sometimes you don't want to hold your clients accountable. We're here to help you with that. Again, somebody's not on mute. It's really hard to hear. Somebody is not on mute. Can you check your phone, please? Somebody who's spoken recently, make sure you're on mute.
I think we are trying to also to reduce the amount of paperwork with all these claims that comes in against us for being a minute late, for all these things. It's all emails, and in the past, what is also causing, and now it's liquidated damages on top of this, is all this paperwork and the extra admin hours that we have to spend to initiate and handle complaints from MTM and liquidated damages, trying to fight off these things for things that's not actually really shouldn't be punished for. That is really hard, and it's causing a lot of admin on these things.
This is Tiffany. I'm going to jump in here for just a second. Somebody is not muted and needs to mute right now, please. Or you can drop off the call if you need to, if you take another call. But
we could all get off and call back in.
Okay. So Elna, based on your comment here, I think MTM has been really clear that at this point they are taking in all of this information, and they're going to come back to the department. We're going to work together on it. I do think that we need to make rather than making a general claim about, we're being hit by all of these things, Ron, if you could tell us what percentage of the trips came up on the May LD list versus the total trips. I think the percentage is extremely, extremely low. In fact, less than 1%. So it's not like everybody's getting 30 or 40 or 50 of these work through. Some companies didn't have any in May. Some companies had one or two. And so until we get our feet down and we understand exactly what some of the impacts are, I think we need to stop talking in generalities, because it makes it sound like every trip out there is getting an LD, and that is not the case. And we know that from the report. So I don't want to shut down good conversation. If there's additional questions that you guys want to ask directly to MTM, but this is really is not hundreds of thousands of rides that we're talking about. It's in the low thousand at the most. So, Ron, I don't know if you've got that number that you can get to really quick, but.
Yeah, so Tiffany, this is Emilio, and I have the number here in front of me. So there were 939 potential LDs, and again, please keep in mind, everyone, that these were pre-assessment LDs, 939 out of 122,245 trips. So when you're looking at a percentage, it's 0.007% of the total trips run in the state.
So
and again, this was it. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So after you have gone through those 900 and something claims, how many of them were real claims actually without the people came back, the providers?
Well, and so that's a good question. Now, as far as how many, we don't have that information because none of them were actually assessed, and this was more of an informative, just letting providers know. So there were some providers that did send back some information like, hey, here's what happened in these instances, and that was taken into account. But as far as how many were actually upheld, I don't know that, because it was strictly for informational purposes that we sent out that initial report to everyone. And to Ms. Kinslow's point, there were some providers that didn't receive any liquidated damages at all throughout the entire month. And there were some, to her point again, that only received one or two as well. So there's something to be said when we're looking at that and what those numbers are.
Emilio, this is Darren Talley with Whitetail. We were assessed on that preliminary May report 52 liquidated damages, and Debbie spent 4 hours researching, documenting those. Didn't do the email appeal process because that's not even part of the time frame at this point. 80% of those were MTM procedural, administrative, or computer system errors. So that 4 hours, that half a day of time was a total assessment charge against us in Debbie's time and pay.
I think that actually that brings up a good point. We want that information because then we can go back and look at our systems and technology to see where we're falling short. So, and hopefully decrease that amount of time, and then ultimately make scheduling for you going forward better. So, we absolutely want that information, and if he already has it, we'd love to have it.
This is Dina with a so those penalized trips, where does that money go to?
Ultimately, we're required under the contract is 80% of our revenue is paid out to transportation providers. So this is not, again, a revenue capture mechanism for us. We don't even, if we didn't have to administer LDs, we wouldn't. We need people to pay attention to critical care appointments and making sure people aren't excessively late. That's what we're trying to drive to.
This is George again with Green Zone Transportation. Has MTM taken consideration that Idaho has grown tremendously in the last 10 years?
Exactly.
And they do not have the roads and the amount of traffic and amount of people that are here in this state now to get anywhere. I mean, it's construction after we're building another bridge here.
Well, I think it goes back to number and frequency. It's pointed to of 900 LD items out of, over, 0.007%, as Emilio said. This is not excessive. Trying to drive attention to making sure people are not excessively late. That's our responsibility, all of ours. And we're here to partner with you on it. And again, we're not here to make money off of LDs. That's not our business culture. We're here to make sure everybody has a KPI that they're being held accountable to, including ourselves.
So, why did they even accept that $10 on per occurrence if you're late? We don't even, on some of our trips, we don't even make $10 on the trip. But you are actually taking what we get plus more money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would look at the percentage again. It's 0.007%, so that would say it's not $10 per trip across your revenue stream. Again, that money isn't going into anybody's pocketbook. That's not the goal. The goal is to make sure people aren't late to their excessively late.
Yeah, but if it's per trip that we look at it, because what we get sometimes doesn't even cover our cost for the trip.
Hopefully with the rate increase, there'll be more, somebody brought up the issue that there's maybe not enough transportation providers in the market willing to do the trips. So hopefully this means there's people who, will cover these trips. So
this is Leanna Gunawar Area Transit, and I just wanted to chime in and say that I understand that was just a test that you were doing, and I do appreciate that. But out of the 10 trips you sent me, 8 of the trips were not mine, and 2 of them were pickups from doctor's appointments. So I think that's just the concern of everybody. I understand for you it's a smaller percentile, but for me, 10 trips that I had to research, go back, respond to you. You know, and I'm going to say that probably out of seven of those trips, I maybe got $3.10 to do them. So I think that's what everyone is saying is, you know, we're just trying to make sure that all the bugs get worked out and that when we have an issue, somebody is going to listen, and, you know, that we are able to work together to make this work for everybody.
I think that's the goal. I just wanted to notice it's the top of the hour. I do have a commitment, so I'm going to have to drop off. Ron, if you want to here. Thank you.
And this is Tiffany. The state, all of the state folks are exactly the same way. We've all got meetings that we need to go to it too. But I did want to say a couple more things. One is that was a great comment for us to close out on. I appreciate your comments. I know Ron has said that if you can get these examples, these good, firm examples, to your representative, it will give us better information and data to work with as we're working with MTM. So make sure you get that information in, and we do appreciate your time. And we will talk with you guys again soon.
Ron,
thank you.
I have a quick question.
I just have one question. Why does the state allow MTM to make a change to their contract at all before their contract expires?
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at www.webex.com.